What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of the Hornets Daily podcast. My name is Tayvon, and we got ourselves a great show for you guys for today. 4 topics about the Charlotte Hornets, as always, as we are trying to figure out about the mock drafts that's going on, a certain player that's on the table, and also what your Charlotte Hornets could be doing in the near future and why it would possibly benefit them as far as the new lottery format. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about our ad spot for today, which is Kalshi, and that promo code FanArcBasketball when you first trade your first 10 to get your first 10 on the market. And again, on Kalshi is a live market. You can pretty much make your money. Very simple, very easy. You're not betting or going against the house. You're going completely against other players in the live market on the house. So that means you are not going against a pretty much a stack system against you and pretty much having the odds and everything fixed. It's everybody going and betting on certain teams that you want to place out there, especially on the NBA playoffs, where you can bet on who you think is going to win the finals or who you think is going to win the Western Conference Finals as of right now. And again, that is going to Game 7. As it is, I took the bet yesterday with San Antonio. We showed it to you guys as far as the percentage. I hope you took it because San Antonio beat OKC down, and now Game 7 is going to be a great one. We're going to have that pulled up for tomorrow for you guys. Just a special one for you guys coming into the new week. So don't worry, guys. We have that one on tap for you for today. But otherwise than that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you use the Kalshi app. That is Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything. Must be 18 or older. We'll be going to our first topic. Ringer mock draft is here, ladies and gentlemen. And it was the day out. But as I said, I decided, you know what? Let's look at the article. Let's take a look. Because again, while Ringer is not the best media market that's out there in terms of putting out articles, and the analysis or their people that write the articles isn't the best or isn't the most well known, they still have a social presence, and it just makes sense just to look at their mock draft. I mean, they've been providing us with 100 top players that was out there and everything. We might as well just take a look at their mock draft and just try to see where are we positioned at to get some players or draft some players, if anything. So why not just go into it? So let's get into it. This is written by Danny Chu and also J. Kyle Mann. This is a group collab project for them. This is their second mock draft of the 2026 draft cycle. As it is, this is the post mock draft coming in to the NBA draft. So they had pre mock drafts before, they had big boards before, but right now, this is on their mock draft page as it is. So, starting number 1, of course, AJ DeMonta. They have long descriptions of these picks. So, if I do see a Hornets and go more of a deep dive, I'm going to possibly read the deep dive articles on their picks and why they're choosing these picks as it is. Now, obviously, on my screen or on your screen, you see Jaden Quinnance and Heinz Steinbeck. That's what we are possibly debating about as far as getting picked, and that's what they picked for us. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go in a deep dive and also explain the picks in front of them and basically explain those as well. So, Darren Peterson going to number 2, that's self-explanatory. Cam Boozer going number 3, self-explanatory. Kelt Wilson number 4, self-explanatory. Number 5 is going to Keaton Wagler. Clippers want a taller guard to take away at least some instinct away from Darius Garland and basically hide him. You get a 6'6" guard. You can do that real easily. Michael Brown going to the Nets. Nets need to find a star. Makes sense. Darius Sackoff Jr. going to the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento Kings need a guard that they can basically rely on, potentially be a star. Adea Moore going to the Atlanta Hawks. Pretty much same thing that I've been always telling you guys. Atlanta wants to play fast and loose, but also Mora is a big size, and the lack of size was pretty much noted against the New York Knicks, so that makes sense. Kingston Fleming's going to the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks has cleaned house very nicely, and they're looking for a point guard, and they are looking to move Kyrie Irving as a likely trade candidate, especially with Masai Ujiri now stepping into the fold, and also making a surprise headline, firing Jason Kidd away from everything. So again, with that in mind, they might need or get a star point guard or a point guard that can fit out their certain situation, and Kingston Flemings definitely does that for them. And he's, again, the side majority likes players like Fred VanVleet and Jamal Shed. While they don't have the best wingspan, they still play the game at a very high rate. And at the end of the day, Kingston Flemings could do the same thing. So I feel some identity towards that. Number 10, Cameron Carr for the Milwaukee Bucks. They say the Milwaukee Bucks are in position to shake up the draft from whoever they choose at number 10, with or without Giannis in mind. And Cameron Carr had a phenomenal combine, and he looks really good. They do need a wing player that can at least expand and shoot, but also play defense. Number 11 will go to Braden Berries. Golden State Warriors reveal a lot about how they're going to attack the pick. They are looking for ready now prospects, but again, they could always trade that pick, so who knows how it goes. Pick number 12, Yaxel going to OKC. Makes sense. No-brainer pick right here for the Thunder. If they cannot move off this pick, they will get Yaxel on the bird. I think that is a solid pick, especially from where things go. They're going to go for a person that is already older in the draft as far as draft choices. But again, much more easier to manage, much more versatile, that they can put at the 3, can put at the 4, can put at the 5 spot, potentially has a small ball 5, and he can operate, has an on-ball facilitator as well, if anything. So I really like that. Dylan Swain going to Miami Heat fits the role of Miami, especially if he stays put. He's a rare wing archetype that pretty much can be a crafty ball handler, has a low body flexibility, versatility, and vertical, if anything. And he also has passing instincts as well. Miami needs to address people to handle the ball and also shoot deep. But as I said, Dylan Swain can develop that deep ball, if anything. And he's 6'6". He is a tall, pretty much guard, if anything, / forward. He can get the job done. Now for us, ladies and gentlemen, pick number 14, Jaden Quinnens. Here we go. They selected Jaden Quinnens for us, 6'9". The Hornets crash landed on the play-in ahead of schedule, and one of the youngest teams in the league. They can afford to take a long view. Jaden Quinnens is a draft biggest question mark, but also one of the best physical anomalies that's coming out the college basketball as of right now. His college career was barely a whisper in the wind due to a 2025 ACL injury and ensuing recovery. But if his medical reports are clean, his combination of strength, speed, fluidity, and explosiveness will put him there with the best athletes in the past decades in the draft classes. The Hornets found a winning formula with their volume 3-point shooting and relentless board crashing. There's enough insulation in the front court. Reigning Hustle Award winner Moussa Diabate and Ryan Kalkbrenner to allow Quinnens to develop into the Hornets' long-term defensive anchor. And then they said the total dark horse. Let me go deep dive a little bit more onto this. Give me 1 second. There we go. They said the total dark horse with Jaden Quinnens is with immense physical tools and unique defensive upside, but is rounding out from a serious injury. And then obviously they said a movable object, defensive anchor, rebounding. They have badges for these people, by the way. Defensive anchor, rebounding, and injury concerns. Offensive role projection is dunk everything and be a connector. Defensive role is to be an anchor. His strengths, reclassified, still young. Opposing big will seem to wilt against his already broad and dense upper body and wide base. He combines those traits with tremendous wingspan, physicality, and athleticism, make him very difficult to contain in a one-on-one situation in terms of rebounding. Has a way of securing the ball in dense traffic with monstrous mitts because his second jump is faster than your average big. Long arms, impressive ball security, and strength allows him to finish through dunks through contact. Seems very confident about that because he is almost delusional in a good way and vibes around the dunks that he can finish. Very aggressive in that area. Capable of attacking true fives in space at times with basic dribble competency. And then also nearly all the playmaking at this point is happening quickly off the catch. So he's really good in short roll and also finding diving teammates off the offensive rebounds when the floor is jumbled. And then also he loves to block jump shooters with his left hand and close on the ball very quickly. Now, obviously, his weakness, of course, injury. Stability, don't know how that knee soreness is going to be, especially with the torn ACL. His stock could hinge on medicals done by NBA teams and whether or not he has a potential of structural issues towards that knee. Clearly has an ambition to be one Mississippi type of a shooter who can be minored to slowly develop in threat from the three if totally neglected. But the belief in his shot will require a lot of trust in one eye and a minimal amount of data. He shot an abysmal 45% from the free throw line and has been in mid 20% range or lower on sample size when it came to shooting. Shoots with a wide stance lower on every available sample size. Shoots with a wide stance with his right foot quite a bit farther from his left. Also has a hard elbow and arm mechanic, so his release can come off a bit forceful and a lack of arc and touch. Not impossible for him to be an occasional shot maker, but an uphill battle nonetheless. He's not an overly technique-driven player inside the arc. He clears space for himself well, but he does get countered by people taking charges and people being fundamental. So if you are taking a charge against him, if you are boxing out against him, he will crumble a little bit because he might get some up and down fouls. He might, potentially run over somebody. If anything, he might get an over and back foul. Who knows? And then he said likes to drive the ball from the elbow and beyond, but the ball security can be wild at times at the height of his bounce. Will often lose sight of how much digging defenders are around him and dribbles somewhat carelessly in the vicinity of defensive help. We do not like that whatsoever. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I would not be surprised if anything. We could Quinn's play 4 regular season games, but ladies and gentlemen, that physical gift is really good. He's 6'9/6'10" potentially, and could potentially step out and spike a corner three to go with his explosiveness as it is, and he got great perimeter defense and great rim running and shot blocking, if anything, for this Hornets team. So that's a big sample size of information from Ringer, if anything. And obviously, with me, we already know Jaden Quinnens is that type of guy that, is going to be a really good, and I'm talking about a really good prospect coming in, but we just don't know, if anything, how he's going to be playing and how he's going to fit the mold for the Charlotte Hornets, especially with that injury going on currently right now with him. So we have no clue whatsoever. How they projected him as far as the vision board or the comps, they put Duke era Zion Williamson on defense. They put Swole Jarrett Vanderbilt, and they put Robert Williams III as his comp, if anything. You guys let me know how you agree on that. We're going to go to number 15 and 16. 15, they put Moritz Johnson Jr. 16, they put LeBron Fillin Jr., which we're going to talk about in the next topic, by the way, because that is a player that may be on the table for us that is coming in. Pick number 17, they put Nate Ament, who is pretty much in that same category as Osman Dang, and in a way for this OKC Thunder team. They put Isaac Bonga, Noah Esenge, Jabari Smith Jr., Ace Bailey has players that kind of mold of his game. And then for pick number 18 for the Charlotte Hornets, they put Heinz Steinbeck. So we're going to talk about Heinz Steinbeck. Says Charlotte would be happy to keep hammering home on the advantages that it created. And here, Hornets land one of the best rebounds, if not the best rebounder in the draft. Steinbeck may not have the ideal build to hold up at the center full time, but there is enough touch on his shot to develop a pick and pop game, and with enough fluidity in the open court to suggest that he is more than a functional 4. Anyway, the Hornets were already a top 2 in both defensive rebound percentage and offensive rebound percentage. They won't be letting go of that rope anytime soon, especially if they draft Heinz Steinbeck. Now, the Mangler in the paint has a mountainous frame and tractor beams for hands, and also a really good three-point shot. And they put him has badges of immovable object, post moves, and rebounding. His post or offensive role projection is a possession generator / spacer. His defensive role is a helper and a possession ender, if anything. He has a middle linebacker wideness to his lower half. He's pretty much close, if not 6'9", barefoot, and 6'10" or 6'11" terms of pretty much height and weight, if anything. Gained some pounds, especially during the combine. extremely physical on the glass, very hard to move, kind of like a Steven Adams-esque type player at the power forward / center in terms of rebounding. He's basically an irritant for opponents at time, willing to mud wrestle for small wins on the glass, led Division I in rebounding, ladies and gentlemen, all without being able to sky over the crowds or basically being able to jump over everybody. We haven't seen his hand measurements, but they look huge as it is. He has a smooth mover in the world as far as getting to one action to the next, and he is a very good situational and awareness type of player where he knows when the next play is going to happen on the offensive end, and he is going to make that play. His weaknesses, of course, while he is a good three-point shooter, he is not a good rim protector whatsoever. He's more of a positional helper, but the thing is, he's going to get to his spot and play defense. Connector trait could use some development. He a little bit aimless as a screener, has some poor chemistry as far as the Washington ball handlers. I think him using the screen and basically being a better screener would, help him out. And I think with the Hornets, that's going to help him, of course. And then, again, he is not the strongest catch-and-shoot player in the draft, but it's something there, right? And then, again, not the most dynamic self-creator when it comes to getting to the rim, but he does have a smooth touch, so you just got to put it all together. Now, the Vision Board puts him as Isaiah Hardenstein, Jock Landale, Daron Sharp, and also the highest of his ceiling is Domantas Sabonis. If anything, they shouldn't be worried about Steinbeck bankable skills in NBA level, but it is going to take some time to get him to that height that he needs to reach, if anything. So, ladies and gentlemen, Steinbeck may not be there yet, but again, something is there that we can potentially get off of it. And I really like this article from Ringer. Kind of surprised me, not gonna lie. They put a lot of in-depth personality into these players and their analysis of these players. So shout outs to the Ringer. Ringer put out a smart mock draft. If anything, you guys let me know how you feel about the Ringer mock draft in general. Jaden Quinitz, Heinz Steinbeck, they saying get rebounding, get athleticism, get bigger bodies. That's in there. I think that's the motto that the Hornets want. I think that's a lot of what you guys want in the near future, if anything, for the Hornets draft. So that is what the Ringer put out there. Let me know in the comment section how you guys feel about that. We're going to move on to our next topic, and that is LeBron filling on the table, ladies and gentlemen. Is that a possibility to get him, the Alabama guard, if anything, coming in for the Charlotte Hornets, especially for pick 14 or pick 18 in the potential? Now, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, this is a hypothetical, right? And of course, we got Kobe White, but again, we always still need a extra guard or a wing to pretty much help us. And LeBron filling, while in this case scenario, could fall out of that top 10 and potentially make his way all the way to pick 14 or pick 18 for a team. And I think he will be a kind of a steal because he actually shown plenty of highlights of him can score, can pretty much ball handle, and be a number one option for a team, whether it be off the bench or whether it be scoring for a team in the lower ranks as far as like the Brooklyn Nets or a team that's really in desperate need of a scorer like the Sacramento Kings, right? So he could go as high as pick number 5 potentially, but could go as low as potentially pick number 20, 23, 24, 25, if anything in this draft. And with that in mind is a case study as far as the Charlotte Hornets, right? Now, obviously, the Hornets need front court help. And to be honest with you, obviously passing on filling, especially if he's there, might be a situation where the Hornets may face. So is this situation if the Hornets may face where filling is there at 14 and is the best available player in terms of talent level, it is a possible chance that the Hornets will take him and then potentially trade him away or get an extra pick later on in the draft and feel as though they're going to land on another player or a player that can fit the role, right? So, and again, we always can move on from Trey Mann or somebody of that case to basically find minutes for him. So it's not the fact of getting LeBron filling just for the upside and the value. but more so that we could replace a certain player to basically bring him in and put him into the rotation as well. And again, with us signing Kobe White, Kobe could play the 2 necessarily, and we can move Sion to the 3 and basically open up space for the backup guard to basically help out LaMelo Ball, if anything. So, in this article written by Eric Smith of the Swarm and Sting, he notes this, and he says, in the case study for LeBron Philin Jr. to the Hornets, if you're fully convinced that LaMelo Ball will stay healthy, Kobe White is a lock to resign, and Sion James is a reliable secondary/third creation player, then sure, the Hornets could justify passing on the guard if it's a more impactful player at another position. The problem is you can't check all the boxes with real confidence, and that uncertainty is exactly where Philin Jr. becomes relevant. Philin brings almost everything you want from a modern offensive guard prospect. He handles the ball smoothly, he scores at a 3-level pace, he scores on the floor or sees the floor well, and he is not a liability on the defensive end. He thrives on an Alabama blistering pace, which is the fastest out of any Power 4 offense, which matters for a franchise that ideally wants to run LaMelo at a full throttle. If you put LeBron, this is me talking now, if you put LeBron Philin in that situation with LaMelo Ball, it is a chance, right, that you bring in a point guard that can run the system the same way, play fast, get the ball up the court very fast, like the Hornets has been doing this season, especially shooting some threes, and you give some time for LaMelo Ball to basically develop. You put Kobe White at his natural position at the 2 spot instead of playing the point guard spot, and you have 2 now guards that is going to compete on both ends of the floor coming off the bench with Philin and Kobe White. So adding that together, that's going to be scary. So going back to the article, he said, add Philin to the mix, yet you get another guard that can play in tempo, create advantages, keep the offense afloat when Ball isn't on the floor. And yes, he needs to get to the weight room or add some physicality conversation with a resurface next year. But the sophomore guard was one of the most consistent and polished players in college basketball this season. If the Hornets decide they can't bank on perfect health, perfect retention, and a perfect internal development, Philin becomes a real first-round option, and another guard prospect with similar sizes on the Hornets' radar, aka Cameron Carr. Ultimately, it's going to be depending on how the boards break in front of them. Every draft brings its own curveball, and this year would not be different, as teams value different traits, prioritize different timelines, and aren't afraid to reach for their guy. When the unexpected names start coming off the board, Charlotte may find themselves staring at a very different set of options that the mock draft suggests. But don't be surprised if Peterson decides to take that guard early. And again, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I'm saying. And you might even see it when we go down to the simulation draft in the next topic. You may see a guard that is down there and probably be surprised that I'm taking him at that pick, but he is the best available player in terms of that pick. So why not take advantage, possibly trade him away, get more assets, or 2, keep that pick, try to get another pick to land our front court issues, and then go from there. And we have a lot of players to trade. We have a lot of assets. We could potentially move into those players. LeBron Philin could be that one of those guys. Braden Berries could be one of those guys that drops down completely out from the top 10 pick and potentially come down to pick number 14. And we got to make that play, or we got to make that deal or pick in that sense, and then decide what we want to do with him. And again, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are literally a phone call away of trading Trey Mann and literally getting him for peanuts, or getting some cash to consideration, or attaching a second-round pick to him and just letting him go to another team. And we are very close to basically trading away Josh Green, Grant Williams, Tayvon, Liam McNeely, or Ryan Copebrunner in a sense. And again, this is just hypotheticals. I'm not saying that, I want to trade him. I'm just saying in the sense of Jeff Peterson mind and head state, my fault, that you can just trade one of these players and create space for other people to pretty much get minutes. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, LeBron Philin could be on the table for the Charlotte Hornets. Let me know how you guys feel about LeBron Philin. Do you feel that he is going to get traded, or he's going to get picked up from the Charlotte Hornets, not traded, from pick 14 or pick 18, and we have to make a deal for him to basically go somewhere else? Or two, do you feel like you're going to keep LeBron Philin if he is there and available at pick 14 or pick 18 for the Charlotte Hornets, and then you make another deal for another pick in this draft, if anything? Again, the Hornets got so many assets. They got first-round picks, a lot of second-round picks, some tradable contracts and contracts that can work, and shed some cap for next season. So you have so many options to pretty much attain another pick, or to at least use your pick on a guard currently at 14 or 18 and be lucky. So again, ladies and gentlemen, do you pick up LeBron Philin? You let me know in the comment section down below. We're going to go into our ad spot for today. Kelce is our ad spot for today. And again, we were discussing about the San Antonio OKC game that happened just recently. And I had it to where San Antonio, or pretty much Kelce market, had it to where it was 59%, 41% OKC, 59% San Antonio, and San Antonio won. So now with the open market, we're going to discuss it tomorrow, where I'm going to show the market value price for San Antonio OKC, because the game is tomorrow. And we're going to see if there's a possibility that San Antonio could pull it out. I think San Antonio has a real shot of beating OKC, especially with people still coming back from injury, and also the fact that they are banged up. I think both sides technically are banged up with De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper, even though Harper played really good last game. And then, as I said, with OKC, with Jalen Williams now coming back from that hamstring injury, AJ Mitchell still out of action currently as things go, and certain players are still tired or fatigued, aka SGA, who only had 15 points last night. So again, this is your chance to go on the Kelce market, start betting, start making those picks, and you can use that promo code FANARCBasketball to get $10, or when you use your first 10, you can get and trade 10 automatically, and you can use it and get your money for today, especially for that game 7. It's going to be a big one. That market is going to be huge. If you bet even a lot of money, I'm talking about possibly like $50, $100 if you want to do that, $150 if you want to do that, that's up to you. You could potentially win out some money. So again, make sure you use that promo code so you can get a little bit in odds of your favor. And as always, you're going against the live market, you can buy in and buy out at any time with Kelce, and you can buy cash out your pick. You can get out of your bet at any point in time with Kelce. So you have so many options, and you can basically make sure that you land and stick the right team that you want to stick on. So regardless or not, ladies and gentlemen, that is KALSHI, Kelce. Trade on anything. Must be 18 or older to play. We thank Kelce for today for the ad spot, and we're going to move on to our next topic. Let's simulate a draft, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do it again. We're going to continue to do it again. We're going to do it again until we get it right. So we're going to draft this team once again, day 15. Us drafting for the Charlotte Hornets. We're going to go for the Charlotte Hornets for 2 rounds, and we're going to get it started right here. Day 15. Let's get it going. AJ DeBonta, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, Caleb Wilson, number 4, Keelan Wagner, number 5, Kingston Fleming, number 6, Michael Brown, number 7, like that. Pick number 8, Darius Aguff Jr., let's see, pick number 9, Braden Berries. Okay, everything looking the same. Nate Ament going number 10. I was expecting Yaxel Adea Moore going to number 11. Yaxel, number 12. Number 13, Kareem Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen, the thing that I explained for topic number 2 happened just now in the situation, right? So it is possible that LeBron Philin is going to fall out of this potential top 10, right? He's projected number 11 according to ESPN analytics, right? So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, with this mock draft that's currently going on right now, we got to make a pick on LeBron Philin, Jaden Quinnitz, Heinz Steinbeck, Cameron Carr, and a whole bunch of other people. All right, so with that in mind, let's do what we, hypothetically would happen in this sense. I think you go with LeBron Philin. I think he is the better prospect, or in terms of the best available player. You then trade or make phone calls during this point of time, right? Because if I'm the Hornets, I'm making phone calls automatically for a player like Jaden Quinnitz or potentially Merch Johnson to basically replace, if anything, or to help out our front court situations, or I'm looking at Chris Sinek or Cole Repeat, right? As far as power forwards go, obviously I feel in my bone that Heinz Steinbeck is going to stay there, or one of the combinations of Jaden Quinnance, Heinz Steinbeck, Mertz Johnson, and Chris Sinek will stay there for pick number 18. It's only 3 picks apart from us, so I'm looking for the latter half or latter portion of the NBA draft if I'm going to make a trade. So I'm going to get LeBron Philin. I'm going to make a trade for a later portion of this draft. So I'm going to pause the draft here. I'm looking directly at a team that needs a point guard 1 and then needs wing players and support 2. So one team that I'm looking for particularly is looking at the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm looking at the Denver Nuggets. I'm looking at the Boston Celtics. I'm looking directly at the Minnesota T-Wolves, and I'm looking at potentially the Cavaliers because they have to let go of Jared Allen, right? So I think I'm going to go for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think I haven't gone for the Cleveland Cavaliers in a long time. I think it is a smart thing to just go try to see if we can get Jared Allen in this case. Because, again, this Cavaliers team needs to shed cap as of right now. They went all in for James Harden, right? And, again, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, all players and pick are assumed to be tradable. No protection, no veto rights, no Stephen rule, no salary cap, no math. So I can't project what the deal is going to be exactly, and I'm just going to put it out there. Maybe it's wrong to some of you guys. I don't know. But again, I know for a fact that Cavaliers need to shed cap, right? So let's get Jared Allen. Let's get pick 29, right? Somehow, some way, let's do it. Let's find them some suitable ways that they can fill out the cap and shed cap as much as possible. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jared Allen is expected to make about $28 million, if anything, close to $30 million, if anything, with his new contract and still on his new contract. So with that in mind, we need to extinguish some pieces from the puzzle. Trey Mann is definitely gone because we need players to be gone at this point. I say that Dallas or Miami pick is very crucial, but again, with that 3-2-1 lottery pick situation, and especially how Dallas is going to possibly play out, or Miami is going to play out, I want to hold my first round picks, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about the 3-2-1 lottery reform very soon, but I want to hold my picks. So in this case, in this scenario, I need to trade away some players that is going to give them some cap value and some situational value as of right now. If we are trading away Miles Bridges, let it be here, right? Because Jared Allen money is almost matching it's not matching Miles Bridges in terms of money, but in terms of to make it work, I think Miles Bridges has to be included in this deal. In the sense, also, I think the main situation, the main issue of the Cleveland Cavaliers, they just did not have any point of attack defenders to go after Jalen Brunson, and they were a little bit outmatched in size, or they have less touch inside against the New York Knicks during that time, and they had a lot of problems against Detroit in terms of creating offense for themselves. So they're looking for offensive players that can create for themselves, and a player that can pretty much, bring the ball up the floor, but also some defensive players as well. So I say let's just give them as much in value as possible. I would say some two second round picks to make the job done. Trey Mann, Miles Bridges, Josh Green, and potentially Grant Williams or Tayvon Salon, just to throw it out there, to make this deal work with them. And then if you want to be very, 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 I'm talking about just, hey, let's just seal the deal, a 2032 first round pick, right? Now that first round pick might be dangerous regardless, but again, getting Jared Allen for this type of talent, you get Trey Mann, Miles Bridges, Josh Green, 2 second round picks, Tayvon, and a first round pick, if anything. Yes, you are giving up a little bit of the house, but again, these are workable contracts. These are, Tayvon Salon pretty much is a young prospect, so they automatically will get value from that young prospect, considering that they're trying to shed cap as much as possible. They can now trade away Miles Bridges, trade away Josh Green, trade away all these players, and they got picks, and they got a point guard backing up, and they're giving up Jared Allen from this case. So now this helps us also not really have to look for a center. In this case, I'm going to do this deal, and I'm going to shed as much cap as possible for us to absorb Jared Allen's cap. So right there, We absorb Jared Allen's cap, we get him, and we get pick number 29 coming in. So now all we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is look for a power forward. We don't need a center anymore. We got Jared Allen, right? So let's go to it. Let's see if we can pick up somebody. And also, too, ladies and gentlemen, LeBron filling being picked up here, that means we force Josh Green out. We force Miles Bridges out. We force Trey Mann out. And we pretty much also force Tayvon Salon out. So now that also gives more minutes to Liam McNeely. And that also gives more minutes to the power forward that we are bringing in for this case. So let's get it going. Jaden Quinnance, number 15. Number 16, Kristen Anderson. Number 17, Chris Sinek. That gives us a really good standpoint to get us Heinz Steinbeck or Mertz Johnson Jr. Now, if you guys want power or pretty much a person that can pretty much switch on the floor, which I believe that is going to be the case because Jared Allen is now there, you want somebody that can switch and play defense. I think Mertz Johnson fits the bill, and he's going to provide some shooting. Now, Heinz Steinbeck is also a person that can pretty much shoot, but he cannot stay with certain people. I think with the move with Jared Allen, you want somebody that can at least space out the floor a little bit, but also switch on the defensive end as much as possible. I think Mertz Johnson is the perfect case. We get him right here for pick number 18. Now, with this next pick, with pick 29, we can go for a wing. We can go for any wing that's available during this time, and we can make and land out on the pick. So we have plenty of options. We can go forward here. We have so many options going right here. And look what the NBA gods has dragged us right here. Dylan Swain, 6'8" wing that can pretty much play offense for us. A little bit of a janky shot, but has playmaking capabilities. And again, 6'8" around the wing area and can pretty much fill in those roles. So again, Dylan Swain at pick 29, I feel like is a big pickup. And with this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we get LeBron filling, we get Mertz Johnson, and we get Dylan Swain. I think that is a good draft pickup. LeBron filling provides a backup guard for us, especially for LaMelo Ball. Dylan Swain provides wing depth, if anything. A 6'8" small forward / guard that can pretty much ball handle and create for others. Just got a little janky shot, can fix that very easily. And we move away from Tayvon Salon in this case. And then we get Johnson, who is 6'9", very athletic, very physical, can be somewhat athletic, and can pretty much rim protect and shoot at the same time. So again, I think this is a good draft. We're going to take it. We're going to move on. We're going to basically be happy with this. Please let me know in the comment section how you guys feel about this simulation of the draft, because I feel like we did a solid job, if anything, leveraging our assets, getting Jared Allen, by the way, getting Mertz Johnson, getting Dylan Swain, getting LeBron filling. We have pieces now to the puzzle that can help us. Jared Allen can defend, he can rebound, he can switch, and he can pretty much finish around the rim with ease. Mertz Johnson can pretty much space out the floor a little bit better. Dylan Swain can pretty much play that wing spot. And yes, we may have to do something with Ryan Cookbrenner potentially, because again, Jared Allen's here. Moussa Diabate is going to be coming as off the bench in a sense, or playing power forward. But again, ladies and gentlemen, not a bad deal. I think this forces a lot of situations, but it helps us a lot, especially with front court needs and strength that is down below. So again, let me know in the comment section how you guys feel I did on this one. We're going to go to our last and final topic for today, the 3-2-1 lottery system that is going on in the lottery rules as of right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Board of Governors yesterday passed a new anti-tanking rule in which it includes the expanding the NBA draft lottery from 14 teams to 16 teams, a regulation zone where the bottom 3 teams get penalized with lessened chance at the number 1 pick in flattened odds. With this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it was a 29-1 vote, being the Memphis Grizzlies being the only team not in favor of this, because again, the Memphis Grizzlies has more favorable 2027 pick of the first round pick of Cleveland, Minnesota, and Utah. Because Utah has a top 5 pick this year, their first in 2027 cannot be in the top 5 under the new rules of the lottery system. So that means Memphis got screwed out of potentially getting the top 5 pick this year, because Utah could be bad coming into next season, if anything. And while at that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you how the rules are standing. Now, a 16-team draw. The worst 3 teams pretty much don't have a extra lottery ball. They only get 2 lottery balls in a sense. The remaining non-playoff teams or play-in teams gets 3 lottery balls. There's going to be 7 teams out of that lottery. the 9th and 10th playing seed will get which is going to be 4 teams, are going to get 2 lottery balls the same way as the 3 worst teams, and the losers of the 7 and 8 playing games will only get 1 lottery ball, if anything. So your chances pretty much go higher if you're not in the play-in and if you're not the worst records in the league. And then again, you cannot pick or get the number 1 pick in 2 consecutive years in a row, and you cannot get the top 5 pick in 3 consecutive years in a row. With the pick protection as well, you cannot protect picks up to top 12 through top 15 in trades. And then for the second round pick as well, first 16 picks is in inverse order. It's going to be vote required to continue a transition to the new system. And then again, with modifications to draft lottery odds, modifications to draft positions, and potentially imposing significant fines to tanking. And talking about tanking, fines could be up to $10 million, forfeit of draft picks, change of draft picks, if anything, and change in draft lottery. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the Hornets are potentially in a good position. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hornets have the Miami Heat first round pick, right? You guys know that. We have Dallas first round pick, if anything. Dallas and Miami are 2 teams that are currently going to be either fighting in the play-in, potentially, or 2, not going to be in the playoffs, and it's going to be in that middle ground, if anything. So if that is the case, that means that the Hornets could own a top 3 pick, or 2 chances of owning a top 3 pick next year, because of either Miami either slips down or Dallas slips down into that middle row. And with the flattened odds as it is, that is a great idea, or a great look for the for the Charlotte Hornets to gain more prospects, to gain more potential, if anything, and help them out in the long run. And I think that is going to be huge, if anything. Now, for other teams, this is the biggest problem of this situation in the system. They said you cannot draft, or you cannot really tank anymore. Free agency is kind of dead, because you can't really get a certain player that you want for free agency unless you basically go early free agent, the same way that we got Kobe White this year, where we traded for him because he has an impending free agency coming along. Second apron limits you to your ability to re-sign talent if you draft well. So you have to be really careful who you keep on your team. And then trades got a little bit harder because you can't trade future first round picks as it is. And somebody said, how are you supposed to rebuild with all these rules and sanctions? It's very hard to do that. So now, being a NBA GM, it's a little bit difficult, ladies and gentlemen. So with that in mind, as I said, with that earlier trade in the draft, yes, I traded a 2032 first round pick, right? And yes, it may come back for the Cleveland Cavaliers in a good way, because Charlotte may fall down from that point on. But yes, we have younger talent. We're going to be here for a long time. Whether it be a 5th seed, 6th team, 4th seed, 3rd seed, 2nd team, or a 1st seed, regardless, they still get a first round pick. At the end of the day, those first round picks is going to be really difficult to trade and get off of certain teams. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this in mind, I don't think the Hornets are going to be moving any trades. I don't think they're going to do anything. I think they're going to keep and stand pat with their first round picks with Miami and Dallas as it is. And I think this is going to put a lot of pressure on those teams that is looking to rebuild, say, aka Chicago. I am looking at you in particular to basically rebuild, or Sacramento in the case, or even Brooklyn, or I'm not going to say Washington. Washington is have a really good roster. Pacers, same thing. I'm looking at those teams and I'm wondering, hey, you're going to have to really work hard to pretty much get a draft prospect. And not only that, fight the odds of potentially being one of the worst teams in the league, and also avoid the tanking propaganda that's going to be out there, or you're going to be fined $10 million and possibly forfeit your picks, or change your picks, or even the lottery odds of your picks. So this just puts a lot of bad teams in a lot of pressure. One, to not tank, of course, but in terms of team building, you can't really team build anymore because, you can't really go over the salary cap limit. You can't really tank anymore because, you get fines. And free agency is kind of dead because people are already taking free agents from trades, which involves first round picks most likely. And you can't really trade first round picks, so you don't know where this team is going to land in the near future, whether it be a middle of a pack team, or a team that played bad but is in the middle of the pack in terms of playing bad and not making it to the play-in, and then a team that's in the play-in and a team that absolutely is not really good at playing basketball whatsoever in the NBA. So again, that gives you so many obstacles, especially in trading later portions. For the Hornets, this is still a good thing, right? Because we have a lot of players that has free agent contracts that is on their last leg, if anything, or 2-year deals that is pretty much very cheap, very affordable, if anything, to make some moves. So now it's not going to be a lot of trades coming in, but it's going to be a lot of moves that could be made to potentially get certain players or to basically relieve some cap and continue to team build the best way you can. So the Hornets is in a good position out of this anti-tanking rule that's set in place and will probably take place by next year. So with that in mind, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the 3-2-1 lottery system in general. I decided to put this as a topic because of the simple fact of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, that this is still a good topic to discuss around the league. And as far as the Charlotte Hornets, what this means for them, again, that Miami and Dallas pick could be very valuable because, again, they could be in that middle of the road where they are not a playing team and potentially not the worst team in the league, because Miami could do that potentially. And I think they're going to still compete. I think they're going to be a playing team no matter what. And they're going to get one lottery ball no matter what, or maybe two, maybe, right? And Dallas is going to be a middle of a road team, especially if they trade Kyrie Irving away and let Cooper Flag develop with the younger players, right? So with that in mind, let me know how you feel about the show for today. I feel like we put a lot of effort, a lot of energy. Leave a thumbs up if you like the show for today. Leave a thumbs up in the video if you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as always, and make sure that you guys follow the Hornets Daily Podcast as always on Apple Music and Spotify and YouTube as well. Again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tayvon. Have a great rest of your day.